So in this video, I am working on one of my yearly goals, which is to attack the Hexie box. If you didn't watch that video, I brought this out and I talked briefly about it. These are scrappy Hexies that I probably started on, what are they, 3/4. I started on them maybe 10, 15 years ago. And then put them away and never touched them again. So I need to do something with them. Back then, I did do a couple of linen napkins, like handkerchiefs for my grandparents. I think they ended up using them on the arms of their recliners. It was sweet. You know, I put their letter of their initial, or I drew, made a flower out of the hexagons. So while digging around, I found my cardboard templates. I have a large zippy that I've drawn out and created over the years. The same shape, but what I call a small. These are fun because you can use a small panel piece in the middle or a 6-inch block in the middle of this one. I don't have patterns for them per se, but see how a 6-inch block would just be right there on the face of it. That one's a little bit smaller, so that one would be cute for even showcasing a 5-inch charm square fussy cut. And then I have this little guy that makes a short stack one. So what I'm gonna do, I'm hoping, I just seriously randomly pulled one fabric from each bin. I can't overthink this. But for example, if I were to lay out this pink, I would obviously press it. And let's say the big, so I know for sure I can get the front and the back out of this pink. And then what I could do is take my white pen, just rough. I don't even know if the white's going to show on there. Nope. Well, that sucks, because it was working just yesterday. Well, I'll have to take a chalk pencil. Oh, there it is. That's weird that it didn't show up at first. So I would just go ahead and outline the template. It's all just a rough placement for later on. Now it's showing up. That was weird. And so what I would do is I can do completely scrappy, or I can use, the colors. Let's see. I still have to take the papers out. And this is, they're hand basted. They're not glued and pressed. But I could even just build just a random. This is at least what I'm thinking. I don't know. I definitely won't do doubles. So I don't know if I would keep them like a grid. And leave a nice little space in there. That way when I do take the papers out, I can use a little bit of school glue, hold them down into place, and then applique them. I'm not 100% sure, I'll be honest. I'm just kind of, you know, thinking of this out loud and showing the process. It wouldn't be necessarily the whole pouch. It's just more of a touch of something to add to the front, which kind of like that. And that would be it, because this is going to be the boxed bottom. That's going to get the 1/2 inch, you know, 1/4 inch taken out of it. There's going to still be a zipper across the top. Maybe move, you know, some of these around. But no real plan. So just give it a go on one of them. But another thought, could be a little bit more and again, just double check that, you know, there's enough on here, which it's not. It's coming off the edge there. Give myself my outline. And so knowing that that's the boxed bottom, I could even grow coming up. So I could take something, let's say, purples, blues, and greens, and even just start it down here. Again, I wouldn't really use the doubles. Oh, need another purple in there. So if it would be 4 starting, blue, green, and then just do a touch of yellow. And, you know, just play with something different on each of them. Not sure I like the airplane though. Stick a bumblebee in there. So again, just me walking through, figuring this out on camera. Okay, try out one more. This one could be a little bit more planned. So the background fabric are these leaves. So maybe I'll go ahead and kind of like pretend to be grass or the earth. Cute little houses, but I don't want doubles in here. Nope, I'm at the end anyways. Didn't even notice, so we could probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Change him out. Then we could grow it. And make maybe like a flower. I run out of orange, one short. Bring him over. So we could even make it like there's a flower on the grass. I'm not really liking that though, I'll be honest. So maybe more of the improv, more of the, you know, nothing really planned. More of this style is what I'll end up doing. So on this pink one, I did get a little picky. I went back through and I pulled the ones with the creamy whites, you know, very light backgrounds. I went ahead and I'm going to do about a 1/2 inch from that edge there. And then if I go straight across from that corner to corner, I'm about a 1/2 inch off that bottom one. So I'm comfortable with that, knowing I'm going to be stitching and that it's going to be the bag seam. I don't want anything down here because that's the bottom. And then again, that's where the zipper gets put in. But I do like it with the lighter colors. I think that'll be fun. So now I will actually lightly starch them, press them, and then remove the papers. Okay, so they've been pressed. All their papers have been removed. I did move them around just a tad bit. I'm going to go ahead with my washable school glue. Seriously, just press in the middle. It's just enough to get it to stay in place when I go to applicate it. Some of these strings, excuse me, some of these strings might need to be trimmed along the way. I did get a little picky. I didn't want words touching words. But that's just me. There's really no, you know, game plan here. It's just, I needed to use up this box and we're gonna have fun along the way together. You guys are just gonna join me for this ride. If this goes well, maybe that's just what they'll all turn into. Is fun, scrappy little zippy pouches. If this, you know, if I'm done after 2 or 3 of them, then so be it. We can always come up with some other game plans. After I get these put here in the centers, I probably will just lightly press it just to dry the glue. Some of these, so this one I know 100% for sure, is a vintage sheet. These with all the words were from a charm swap way back when. That the theme was fonts. And so either I've used them and those are the scraps, or I cut them all into 2 1/2s I cannot be 100% sure. This guy is from an old Michael Miller's line. It had fairies. There's more in here. That's another flower from it. The fairies had the alphabets on them. So I do like scrappy projects because I can go through memories with them. I can, you know, I can remember what I made. I can remember where they came from. A couple years ago, I did a Pat Sloan traffic jam out of 2.5-inch squares, and I was pulling pieces from clothes I made my daughter, from toys I used to do. This one was a sock monkey alphabet yardage. So he looks like he's either on the number 1 or the letter L. The cherries, which is actually a newer one, a couple years ago. That one came from a red and white, a white fat quarter bundle from Fort Worth Fabric Studio. He looks like a vintage print. This one I made dresses out of. This one I made Christmas dresses out of. That was a part of the... These were the Christmas trees. And those were the coordinating prints. Telling you. Alright, I'm going to go stitch those down. Okay, so on this pink one, I obviously trimmed it. But before I trimmed it, I did go ahead and top stitch very, very close to the edge in a neutral color thread. That's the back side. Then I went ahead and trimmed along my chalk lines that I marked earlier. And then what I'm going to do is probably dig around. I have a couple different stabilizers. I have a soft and stable. I have batting from quilting. I have a deco something. It's kind of firm, but it's kind of flexible. I'm going to go ahead and set this one aside. Then go ahead and follow suit with the steps on this one. That way I'm going to at least get 2 done. But same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and starch and press the background. Starch and press the hexies. Remove the papers, do the glue, and then top stitch them. But I'm probably going to find a different color thread. I don't think that neutral is going to be good on there. And then I'll come back with the stabilizer layer. So here is the charcoal gray one with the purples, blues, and greens. I didn't fit them together like a traditional hexie shape. I did kind of space them out, turn it into a building block. I used a blue, which obviously blends on some, shows on some. I'm not too worried about that. And there's the back. And then imagine, you know, if that's folded. I kind of went with that same 1/2 inch from the bottom and used that as my guide. On the sides, I used a pin. Just found, you know, a neutral spot. Measured my sides. Now to go on the hunt for the inside, for the stabilizer, and for the lining, and for the zipper colors. So I buy bulk zippers. I mean, these suckers are huge. I want to say 21 or 22 inches. And these are shorties. Let's see. These are The zipper part itself is coming up at 9 with the edges. So I got about 10 to play with. So I get to have fun and pick out some zipper colors, which I'm really liking that on that one. I don't even think I need a pool of blue, because that blue would be, I would want more of an electric blue, and that I don't, nope. We're going to go for lime green. And then for the pink one, I can go for pink, but I actually think since we played with the whites, the creams, and the grays, I might go ahead that one's not bad. And I am kind of liking the gray there too. This one seems a little dark, but that might just be, I need to close my eyes and pull one. We'll go for cream. And then find some lining fabrics. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some lining fabrics. Since I have the green zipper, since I have the greens and blues here, I pulled out the green bucket. There's some fun ones. I like that one. I thought of that one, but it was too small. Can never go wrong with a polka dot, but there is already some there. And so what I landed on was actually this one. I like that it has the greens and the blues, and that'll be super fun inside the pouch. And then, oops. And then for the pink one, instead of pulling the pink bucket, I actually pulled more of the creamy bucket out, which is that one. Something like that even, which, you know, once you open it, it's just something fun. But it kind of has all those colors, which is nice. That's too purple. But then, I actually really like that one. I thought of this one. That way it has the cream. It has some of, you know, some of the colors are poking through. And I kind of like that, like, so there's a bird, and there's a flower, and there's a clown, and the cherries. Inside this print, not only are there flowers, but there's a snail. There's a butterfly. So I think it's cute. But I am seriously, I do like the colors of that one too. I go with my first choice was this one. So I found this, but I do not have the paper that tells me what kind of foamy stabilizer stuff it is. So I do apologize. It is nice and thick. It is I don't want to say stiff stuff. Could be. It could be stiff stuff. So don't quote me here. But I am going to go ahead and use this so that it gives the pouches the ability to stand up and be folded flat and tucked away. It gives it to where it's nice and stable. Again, I apologize. I don't know what it's called. It's not the Deco Bond. It's not a fusible. It could be stiff stuff. But we'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out 4 pieces. 2 for each pouch. So when trimming the stiff stuff is what we'll call it, because I'm unsure. I do make it a 1/4 inch smaller where I'm going to end up having that zipper, because my liner, the zipper, everything is just, it'll be too bulky. So I do make that just a tad smaller. Later on, after sewing, if I have to, I'll come in and trim it down to 1/8 of an inch, but we'll see when we get there. And then I do measure out my zipper. That's going to end up being, I might leave it, I might tuck it, we're not sure yet. But I do here where the zipper starts, I encase it. So I take 2 of the cutoff scraps, I'll sew it straight down, flip it, and then these will get sewn into the pouch. But I'll be right back to show that. So here I have used a Wonder Clip to hold that edge together. I've unzipped and then I have pinned. And so what I'll do is I'll just stitch straight across. I can choose to go on this side of the silver, or I can choose to go on that side. Either way, it's the end of the zipper. It's where it's always going to end. So it's just aesthetics at this point. For this green one, I will go ahead and probably stitch just past that. And so I'll come in, I'll mark it with another pen, and now I know to go in between both my pens with my stitch line. Nothing fancy, just straight stitched it, turned it, and went right back. And then I go ahead and finger press those. You can top stitch. Either way, it's going to be worked into the pouch. That's going to be worked in, that's going to be worked in, and that's going to be worked in. But if you want to top stitch across there, then now would be the time. And for this one, I will show that. The pink one, we might leave it out of the silver. We might not top stitch it. We'll see when we get there. So I just went once. I left my stitch length at my normal 2.5, like I was piecing. And so there you go. That's how it will end up. And you can see here, I do have some wiggle room. That way when the seam allowance comes in and you're flipping it out, that's why I said on this side, I might actually leave it longer so that it zips wider so that you can get your hand in there. If not, this same technique would happen here. And you chop off the zipper. And then it would only leave that much of a space to get your hand in. If I left that hanging, I could actually open it and the whole bag, you know, it just gives you a wider opening. So I'm ready to start sewing everything together. I open my zipper. I line it up with the top. Since I have the selvage here, I just make sure that that's off the edge. I take my liner. Notice the pretty part, the face of the liner is facing the top of the pouch. Come here. I'm going to pin or clip, it's your choice. All the way. I do like to keep that zipper all the way up. It is bulky where that zipper is starting. Because remember, we have that, we have that, we have that. I mean, I could go in here and trim that. Either way, we just want to make sure our starting points are there, our ending points are there. Go ahead with your favorite zipper foot, and we're going to 1/4 inch. I did not add the batting yet because I don't want the batting in this step. This is why I trimmed it a 1/4 inch smaller. So I am going to go ahead and seal this. And then I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Get my, exactly the same process. Put my back touching my front. I do want to make sure that I'm lining those starting and ending points up. And then my face of my liner is touching the face of the liner. And again, I'll go ahead and pin and then stitch my 1/4 inch across, and then I'll trim all that up. Okay, so the zipper has been stitched in between. So what I will do now is finger press, top stitch. I'm using that same blue that I used to do the hexagons. And even though I mentioned earlier, it's a 1/4 inch shorter at the top of the stabilizer, it's also a 1/4 inch shorter at the bottom. Reason being, let's see if I can line this up to show you. That 1/4 inch I cut off the top that makes it smaller is because of that. Then the 1/4 inch smaller at the bottom is because I'm going to have to seal those. So now what I'll do is take my 2 fronts, stitch straight across that bottom. Then I need to work my way. I'm going to stitch, 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 stitch. I will insert that when I get there so that it gets stitched into the sides, and then create my little boxed bottom. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and stitch the bottom of the outside. I will stitch 1 inch the bottom of the liner. I need to leave a turning hole. I also need to make sure that my zipper is open. so that we don't get stuck. Okay, so the bottom is closed completely. This one is closed 1 inch on each side. I do mark it. I also do back stitch because that's where our hand's going to be pulling the bag through. Now, I will place my stabilizer in here. Go ahead and clip or pin down the sides. The goal will be start on my liner, back stitch, do my 1/4 inch all the way up and over the zipper, all the way down, back stitch here. Repeat on this side. I'm going to back stitch, 1/4 inch up and over, and then work my way all the way here and back stitch again. Please note you are going to put the stabilizer on both sides of the outside fabric. So here you'll see I stitched a very generous 1/4 inch because I wanted to make sure I was able to catch anything that might have been uneven. I did follow my pattern where, you know, it comes in just a tad straight across. Stitch, I do back stitch these. And you can see here, I made sure that my zipper was going the same way. So I folded it to where the teeth were towards the outside of the bag. Folded everything in, and I did end up clipping that. So now I am ready to take my sides and do my boxed on both the outside with the stabilizer. See that 1/4 inch that's smaller, which is great for later to stand up. And then I'll box these, and then I'll come back to turn it around. Okay, so I have stitched my boxed bottoms. I do open the seams on both. Same here. I did the best I could to split that 1/4 inch. Well, that one got caught, but oh well. The stabilizer split this one. And we can go in there and cut some of this out. Not all of it, you know, it just helps with that bulk. I don't like to leave this one a 1/4 inch smaller because then I wouldn't be able to catch any of it in the stitching. I need to catch some of it to help with the stabilize. So just cut out some if you want. If you don't, then don't worry about it. Just a little bit here and there. I am being mindful not to cut the fabric. Probably should get some smaller scissors. Again, it's not unnecessary, it's just to help with some of that bulk. So we have our opening. We have our zipper that was left partially open. Go ahead and push it all the way open. Before turning the liner, I do like to come in here, get those corners popped. press some of the seams open. Turn my liner, pop those. I will press, and either I'll machine stitch it, hand stitch it, or use the little 1/4 inch steam a seam stuff. We'll see. And then once that is closed, I did not top stitch the top yet. If I would have done it earlier, I couldn't get that stabilizer up in there. But now that it is done, oh, there's your string coming from somewhere. Depending on how comfortable you are with, you know, tight squeezes, you could come in here, catch that stabilizer up into that zipper area. You could top stitch it, or just leave it like it is without the top stitching. It's totally maker's choice. Try to pop that zipper as much as possible. Again, we didn't put that edge on this one. We could have. I could have even left it where it hung out. I could have stitched the bag pieces up and left that zipper hanging out. Either way, I mean, it's big enough my hand can get in there. So, don't really know what the shape of this is. It's just something I had drawn and I just used, and this is the tall one. You can come in here, you can mess with that bottom a little, because remember, it's not stitched down there, but it does have a slit. It stands up. That one I called large or tall. The one I used to make lots and lots of was the smaller one. So about an inch, inch and a half. Let's see. A good inch. Either way, it's just a fun zippy. And I needed to use the hexagons, which is the whole point of this video. And with that stabilizer the way it is, and with that slit down there where I didn't connect it, it can be folded flat. It could even be, you know, rolled and tucked into a drawer or a luggage. What do we got here? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8.5 inches at its widest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at its smallest. And then it has the bottom 1, 2, almost 3 inches. So it does hold, you know, stuff. But I'll go ahead and get that inside seam finished up. And there's one of the hexagon bags. So what will happen is I'll do exactly the same steps on the pink one. But for this video, we'll just end it here. You can totally put a charm on there. If you work with beads, or if you have charms, then I totally thought I had something sitting here. So for example, if it was a gift and it was going to a quilter, you could easily just put that right on there. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you can give it a like, a comment, a subscribe, a share, do your thing out there and help us with the algorithms. Any questions, please feel free to ask. Do you make zippy pouches? Do you use hexagons in any way, shape, or form? Alrighty. Thanks so much.